Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Check this out, man. With everything going on in boxing right now at the 147-pound division, we know that Crawford, word on the street, he dropped the belts. So now you got all these guys who are kind of sitting on the sideline. Looks like they can finally get active and start looking to try to fight for some 147-pound gold. Now, the thing is this. Jaron Ennis is more than likely, right, going to be elevated to the IBF World Welterweight Champion. He's already the interim champion, but now that Terrence Crawford has dropped that belt, Jaron Ennis will more than likely be elevated. The same thing with Stanionis. He was the WBA World Welterweight Champion, but now that Crawford dropped that WBA belt, Stanionis will probably bubble up to the WBA Super World Welterweight Champion. So what I see happening, since both of these guys were supposed to fight, back in 2020? Don't know what happened. We just know the fight was offered to Stanionis. He accepted it. But you know how things go. It's not the fighters who normally turn down fights. It's the people on their team. For some reason, it didn't happen. But earlier this year, Stanionis said with Jaron Ennis returning and getting the KO against Villa, Stanionis said that it was a good fight, a good performance by Jaron Ennis. And Stanionis said he was glad that he was able to come there and see the fight. But he said he would do something different, and he definitely believes that he can beat Jaron Ennis. Now, the things that we talk about with Jaron Ennis that sets him apart from his opponents, defensive prowess, feints, the amateur pedigree, switch hitting, and just power in both hands, and IQ. Well, Stanionis says he has all of that and more. And he says what he brings to the table is something Jaron Ennis's previous opponents didn't have. And I tend to agree with that statement in particular. As far as him beating Jaron Ennis, we won't know until they get in the ring. But I do think Stanionis would be the stiffest test to this point for Jaron Ennis. And Jaron Ennis, no doubt, will be stylistically probably the stiffest test for Stanionis, because that fight Stanionis was in with Butaev, that wasn't an easy fight. That was a mash-up, crash-up. I knew that was going to be maximum violence. That was crazy. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this fight. We're going to see what happens. You guys got to understand, man, Stanionis is a Lithuanian professional boxer since 2017. And for those who didn't know, man, he won a gold medal at the 2015 European Championships and the welterweight bracket. So he is, no kidding, a welterweight. All right? And then Jaron Ennis, there's nothing I can say about him, man. He's special, man. He showed us when he fought Villa that there are levels to his game, and a guy like Stanionis who's going to come towards him, I just think Stanionis, he may have some spots, but I just think styles make fights, and Ennis is just going to expose him, and he may even get a stoppage, referee stoppage, just from him taking too much damage. It's just like any other fight when you watch out there, man. When you got a boxer, puncher, high IQ against a guy who's just looking to swarm you, looking to smother you and cut the ring off and pressure you, if you got somebody, man, with power in both hands who has a reach advantage, those quick twitch reflexes and can do the things like a guy like Jaron Ennis can do, Crawford can do, hey, the guy who's looking for the mash-up, crash-up like Stanionis, they just don't fare well. People talk about Crawford and Spence. That was a style mismatch, okay? And for those of you who are saying, man, Hood, I disagree with you. Well, I'll say, okay, who would have thought that Chris Algieri would have beat Ruslan Providnikov? Now, I'm not saying Chris Algieri is Boots Ennis or is Terrence Crawford, but he's a boxer. Slick, moves around the ring, but he will stand and fight and let his hands go. He doesn't have the power like those guys, but if he had power, Chris Algieri would have been a bigger threat to everybody than he was. But he was a big threat because he's a slick boxer and he has a high IQ. Ruslan Providnikov. Now, I'm not saying Providnikov has at the skill level of an Earl Spence or Stanionis, but it's very similar in style with someone who's looking to come forward and destroy you. You saw what happened with Algieri in that first round against Providnikov. Wasn't a very fun time for him. But once he started to make the adjustments, you just saw the separation. And then Chris Algieri won. So that being said, styles make fights, Stop making excuses for these guys losing. If they want a better chance at winning a fight when you're going up against a boxer puncher, you got to make adjustments. And if the boxer puncher just happens to get beat down, well, then he needs to figure out what to do when you got somebody coming in trying to kill you. They got to be able to make adjustments. That being said, Boots Ennis, Stanionis, I don't think they're going to fight mandatories. I think they're going to both be elevated. Stanionis, the super champion, Boots Ennis to the IBF champion, and I think they're going to unify. I think that's the fight next for Boots and for Stanionis to face each other in a unification bout. Then Boots, who I think will beat Stanionis, he'll be holding tight and probably looking to pick up that WBO strap. And then after that, he'll be looking to fight whatever happens with the round robin going on in the WBC. And Boots, by the end of 2024, if everyone stays healthy and active, Boots Ennis could be the undisputed at 147. That being said, keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Time to have a healthy dialogue and conversation because there's going to be some movement going on. Things should start bubbling up and percolating in the 147-pound division. There's been a holding pattern for quite some time because everyone involved and the fly on the wall was trying to make the Crawford-Spence fight. They've had it. They're both going up to 154. Crawford dropping the belts. Now these guys at 147, they can finally start to eat and make money again. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.